Hello students, welcome to computer class. I hope all of you have enjoyed your vacation. Now we will see the second chapter from your book, that is Gigabyte book, Programming Basics. Now in this chapter we are going to learn few things. What is programming? Then what are the parts, different steps of programming? What are the computer languages? All this we are going to learn in this chapter. Okay, now we will see Programming basics. Introduction to programming, algorithm, flowchart, program, categories of computer, languages and language processor. All this we are going to learn in this chapter. Now, introduction to programming. Before giving the introduction for programming, I'll just tell you that whenever two persons or two individuals are talking, there is a common what you call common thing in them to communicate with each other, that is the language. Okay, now we are in English medium school, we are learning and getting the instructions in English only. Okay, at home you may be talking in Marathi, Hindi or Tamil, Telugu, any other language, correct? So there is a common medium should be there to understand what the user is telling and what the other person is getting from the user. Not user, in computer language it is user. When one person is talking, the other person should understand what it is talking. But now in case of computer, we are giving the instructions to computer in English language. But computer does not understand English language. It understands only the machine language. Now to write the programs in machine language, it is very difficult. So there means human being developed many more different languages. That also we are going to learn. Before that, now we will see introduction to programming. Whenever any certain particular task we want to do, we have to do that task in a particular manner, in particular steps. Okay, to solve any problem, we have to follow certain steps. Whenever we are following those steps, we are writing those steps first. That is in short called algorithm. Whenever we are putting those steps in a diagrammatic form using different symbols, it is called flowchart. And whenever we are writing these steps in a particular language, that is called a program. Okay, now I'll read this. The set of instructions written in a language which a computer can understand is called a program. A computer program involves three steps: algorithm, flowchart, and then the final program. Now, step by step, we will learn what is algorithm, what is flowchart, and what is program. Now, algorithm. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve any particular task, such as a mathematical or logical problem. See here, real life example is given, problem solving. That is baking a cake. How to solve this problem? For that, steps are written. First, we have to start. Preheat the oven at 180 degree centigrade. Prepare a baking pan. Beat butter with sugar. Mix them with flour, eggs, essence, vanilla, or any other essence if you want. Pour the dough into the baking pan. Put the pan into the oven. And then here we are stopping the process. Correct. Now, here we are stopping the process. That's why we have written end. Now, for this is applicable for any other example also. Suppose you want to write the steps to getting ready for the school. First thing what you will do, you will get up in the morning, then you will brush your teeth, then you will go to washroom, then you will fold your bed sheet and keep properly, then you will have your breakfast, then you will take your bath, and then you will pack your bag, and then you will wear uniform, you will wear the clothes, the school clothes, that is uniform, and then you will take your bag and then you will go to school. So certain steps are there. For solving any problem, you have to solve the steps. That is called algorithm. Now here it is flowchart. What is flowchart? A flowchart is a diagrammatic representation of a problem solving process, that is algorithm. For this we are using different symbols. In a flowchart, each operation or each step represented using specific geometrical symbols. These symbols are connected with each other by arrows to show the operations. Hermann Goldstein and John von Neumann developed a flowchart to plan computer programs. Okay, now what are the different symbols we are using for the flowchart? Those are listed here. See here, symbol is given. It is in column symbol, name and function. First symbol, that is start and end symbol. An oval represents a start or end point. Then comes the arrows. Up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, left arrow. A line in a connector that shows relationship between the representative shapes. Different shapes we are using to show the connection in those shapes. How the flow is moving from top to bottom, generally it goes. For that we are using these arrows. Then next is rhombus or parallelogram. It is input output. To show that we are giving input to the computer or we are getting output from the computer, this symbol is used. A parallelogram represents input or output. Then comes the rectangle symbol. This is used for showing process. A rectangle represents a process. Means here, suppose we told the computer to add two numbers. So inputting two numbers, we have to use the rhombus, that is the parallelogram. And to show that it is doing the sum, add a plus b or a multiplied by b. This process, whenever we want to show, we are using the rectangle. Then comes the decision box. A diamond indicates a decision. That decision is having two answers. One is yes, definitely. Other one is no. Then the connectors. A circle symbol is used to show the connectors. Whenever the flowchart is very big and we want to make the parts of that flowchart and we want to present it on different pages, we can show the connection between those parts. So these connectors are used here. Now, there are some advantages and some disadvantages of the flowchart. Advantages means flowchart helps in analyzing the problem in a more effective way. We can write the steps very effectively in this and we can come to know the problem very easily. We'll try to solve it very easily. It is better way of communicating the logic of a system. It acts as a guide during the program development phase. It helps in finding out errors. Suppose there is an error while running the program. We can rectify that error very easily looking at the flowchart because it is a diagrammatic representation. So very easily we can find out the error. Similarly, it is having some disadvantages. Sometimes the flowchart becomes complex if the program logic is long. If you want to change something in flowchart, you have to redraw the flowchart. That is the big advantage. It is time consuming. Okay. Now there are certain rules to draw the flowchart. Even in this lesson, we are going to learn how to draw the flowchart. While drawing a proper flowchart, all necessary requirements should be listed out in a logical order. Then only your flowchart will be proper or correct. The flowchart should be clear, neat and easy to follow. The flowchart, only one flow line should be used in conjunction with the terminal symbol. There should not be many arrows showing flow line up, down, right, left. Only it should be from top to bottom or left to right. The direction of a flow in a flowchart should be from top to bottom or from left to right. Avoid the intersection of flow lines if want to make it more effective and better. If the flowchart becomes complex, it is better to use connector symbols to reduce the number of flow lines. Okay, suppose the flowchart is very big, divide it into different parts and show the connectors. That is the big thing. Now we will see how to draw the flowchart for simple thing. converting an algorithm into a flowchart. Algorithm is given here. Algorithm means step-by-step instruction, and where is the same instructions when we are putting with the help of diagrammatic symbols, geometric symbols, it is called flowchart. Step 1, start. So here start, the start and end symbol we have used. Then wake up in the morning. This is the second step. Wake up in the morning. This is the simple process we are doing. So that's why rectangle is used. And after start symbol, to connect the another rectangle, we have used the arrow, downward arrow. Go to washroom. Again, it is a process. It is this rectangle is connected with the arrow. Brush your teeth, take a bath, wear your school uniform, have your breakfast, take your tiffin, go to your school, and then stop. Stop means here we want to stop the process. So it is a terminating symbol. It is an end symbol. This stop we have used the oval shape, and after stop we have not given any arrow because here we are stopping the flowchart. I hope everybody has followed this. Now another flowchart we are drawing along with the algorithm, and the explanation is given. Converting an algorithm into a flowchart for adding two numbers. See, algorithm, the flowchart, and the explanation. Step 1, start. So here start symbol is used, and we have written the word start in the uh, start symbol, geometrical symbol. It explains that this is beginning of the flowchart. Step 2, take two numbers. Here take two numbers means we have to give these two numbers to computer. So it is written input n1 comma n2. n1 and n2, these are two numbers. Input means we are inputting the numbers. We are giving these numbers to computers. That's why parallelogram is used. That is input output symbol. Give two numbers to computer. This is the explanation. Step 3, add the two numbers. This is a process. So here we have used the rectangle. Sum is equal to n1 plus n2, means we are adding two numbers here. Processing, give the instruction to calculate. Okay. Then step 4, print the result. The output, the result is displayed. Here we are printing the output. Okay, printing means we are displaying the output. That's why parallelogram is used again. Print sum. And then step 5, stop. And here we have used start and stop symbol, that is the oval shape. And all these symbols are connected with the downward arrow to show the flow line, that is it is starting from top to bottom. Okay, that is the end of the flow chart. I hope everybody has followed all this. Okay, now we have seen what is program. Okay, the final stage of program is the actual program when you are writing it on the in the proper sequence using some language. Whenever these programs are written, it should be understood by the computer. Then only computer will give you the proper result. Okay. Now here, a program is a set of instructions given to the computer to get a particular task done. The process of writing a program is called programming. The people who can write programs are called programmers. A computer understands the instructions given to it in its own language, that is called machine language. This language uses binary digit, that is zeros and one. Okay. But it is difficult for the programmers to write their programs in the terms of using digits, that is the machine language. Therefore, some other computer languages have been developed in which writing programs have become easier. What is that development that we are going to learn? So we are going to learn what are the different computer languages got developed in the course of time, in the course of development. Okay, so categories of computer languages. Computer languages broadly are divided into two categories, that is low level languages and high level languages. Low level languages again got divided into two subcategories, that is machine language and assembly language. And high level languages again got categorized into three different things: procedural language, non-procedural language, and natural language. All these languages we are going to learn in detail now. Okay, so we'll go further. Low level languages. Low level languages are written to run on a particular computer and it cannot be easily used on the other computers. See, it is the first or second generation languages. When first generation computers got developed, that time this low level languages got developed. On one computer, suppose you have written one program that cannot be used on the another machine. It was machine dependent languages. On one machine, if you have done, you can use only on that particular machine. The two main low level languages are machine language and assembly language. Okay, these languages were used in first and second generations of computer. In assembly languages, you have to uh, whenever there is a in assembly languages, they used to convert those binary codes into a different different codes were used. Mnemonic codes were used, and those mnemonic codes were again getting translated into zeros and one with the help of assembler in assembly languages. All that we have to learn, different things we have to learn. Okay, these assembly languages has to have the assembler to convert the uh, assembly code or the source code into the machine language. Now machine language also called the first generation language. It refers to zeros and ones that a computer can understand as instructions. Machine language programs run only on the computer for which they have been developed, that is, they are machine dependent. Due to this, they are called low level languages. Okay, now we'll see assembly languages. Okay, here the picture, the image is showing that source file means the instructions are written in mnemonic code and it is getting translated with the help of assembler in binary codes, that is the combination of zeros and ones. We'll see in detail assembly languages. Assembly language is also called second generation language. This is also called low level programming language. An assembly language uses letters and symbols instead of using numbers, that is zeros and ones. A program written in assembly language use short sequence of letters called mnemonic codes. It is called a source program, which must be translated into machine language before a computer can understand it. An assembler is a program used to translate assembly language into machine language so that computer can understand it. See, suppose you are having an English medium school, correct? All the instructions you are getting in the English language, correct? But some other day, somebody came from other foreign country and he or she started giving you instructions in Japanese. Are you able to understand that? No. So there should be an interpreter who can interpret the Japanese language into English language, and then you can understand what the person, guest person has come, who is telling something to you. Correct. Same way, the assembler is decoding or translating the assembly language into a machine language, which computer can understand. Okay. This example you remember well. Now, we will see high level languages. Okay, what is the difference between low level and high level that we are going to study here? A high level language, that is HLL, has instructions which are similar to English language used by us. These are machine independent, means the program written in high level language can be used on any computer. It's not only limited to one computer where it has developed or on which it has written. A program written in HLL, that is high level language, can be used on almost all the computers without any change. Interpreter and compiler are the two programs used to translate the high level language into the machine level language so that computer can understand it. In low level languages, that is in assembly languages, assembler program was used. Here interpreters and compilers in some cases are used to translate the high level language into a machine level language. Three main categories of high level languages are procedural language, non-procedural language and natural language. Which are they? That we are going to see. Procedural language. A procedural language is also called the third generation language. In this language, the programmer writes instructions that tell the computer what to accomplish and how to do it. The third generation language is also called the source program, which must be translated into machine language before the computer can understand it. A compiler or an interpreter is a program which is used to perform the translation for the third generation language. C, Basic, COBOL and Fortran are the examples of third generation language. That also I explained. It's the same example. Instead of a Japanese person, you think of a Chinese or Arabian language. Somebody is talking with you. Are you able to understand? No. To make it understand, you need some person, somebody who can translate the Arabic language or the other language other than English language for you. Then only you can understand that. Same way here, the compiler or interpreters were used, okay, to to translate the high level language into a machine language. Okay. Now, what is non-procedural language? A non-procedural language is also called the fourth generation language. Fourth generation languages are very uh, that user friendly and users with the very little programming background can develop. Very little programming background the user should have. It is not compulsory or necessary that the user should be a programmer, but basic knowledge of programming if the user is having, then also he can write the program in the fourth generation language. That is the non-procedural language. It is also a source program which must be translated into machine language with the help of compiler or interpreter. Visual Basic, Java, etc. are the examples of fourth generation language where the user must be having a basic knowledge of the programming. It's not necessary that he should have the full-fledged knowledge of programming, but then also he can write the program because it is more user-friendly language. Again, for this fourth generation language, there is a requirement of a compiler or interpreter. Now, natural language. This is the fifth generation language, we can call it. Sometimes called the fifth generation language, correct. It is a type of query language that allows the user to enter the request that resembles with human speech. Now you must have the example, I'll give the example for this, that Siri feature is there in uh, smartphones where it recognizes your voice, where it recognizes the human speech and accordingly it gives the answer, correct? So natural languages are often associated with expert systems and artificial intelligence. Nowadays, artificial intelligence is used everywhere in each and every electronic device almost. Whenever you will go to 8th, 9th standard, you are going to learn what is artificial intelligence, where to use, how to use, all that. Okay. These systems are popular in the medical field. Now it is not limited to only to medical field, but in each and every field artificial intelligence and expert systems are used and where human speech is recognized. Okay. Now this language processor, what is language processor? Means how it processes the language, that we are going to learn. A language processor is a software that converts the source program into the machine language because a computer does not understand the program written in high level language or the assembly language. For this, what it is using? See, whenever the persons, different language persons are they want to talk with each other. They are having one interpreter who interprets one language into another language. So both the human being can understand each other's language when it is a difference of language between them. It understands only the machine language. Compilers and interpreters are the examples of language processors. Okay. A compiler converts the entire high-level language program into a machine level at once and also displays errors for the whole program together. Means whenever it starts converting the high-level program into a machine-level program, that time full program it will go through it, the full program. It will find out the errors and it will translate the whole program at once, at a time. Whereas the interpreter converts one line of a program at a time. One line program it is interpreting and it is translating, and because it is going through one line, it is showing the error also at that time only. And if you will not correct the error at that time itself, it will not go further. It displays errors on one line at a time and goes to next line after correcting that error. If you will not correct that error, it will not move further to the next line. See, these are the some things which we have to learn. Now, in short, we have learned here programming basics. What is program? What are the different steps in programming? That is algorithm. In short, we will revise algorithm, flowchart, and then program. Algorithm means it's a stepwise instructions whenever we are writing using English language. And those instructions when we are putting in diagrammatic form using different symbols, it is called a flowchart. And on the basis of flowchart, whenever we are writing some instructions in a particular manner, particular way, that is called a program. After that, we have seen some computer languages, that is high level, low level languages and high level languages. Low level languages, that is machine language and assembly language. High level languages, procedural, non-procedural, and natural languages. And then we saw the compiler and interpreter as the language processors. All of you go through the chapter properly, and whenever you will get the notes of this chapter, try to complete the notes in your book if you have computer book. If you doesn't have computer book, try to complete in some other book. Okay, then take care, and whenever we'll have online sessions, if you have any doubts, I'll try to solve your doubts. Okay, then bye, take care.